Good morning. I hope everybody that listens is keeping well. Wanted to share some of my thoughts. In the past, I was curious. I wanted to know what's going on in the world. So I started listening, I started reading, and I couldn't stop thinking that these experts and scientists, most of them, had a weird methodology on how to know things. This image kept coming. I was like, these people, into my mind, these people are trying to catch air with their bare hands, or they're trying to catch water with their hands. The more they try, the more it passes through their fingers. Doesn't make a lot of sense, this methodology. That was my impression. You see, modern scientists' methodology, it's almost like they're trying to pin or they're trying to freeze or stop time. Like you would take a remote and freeze the image. Then they take the image, which is their petri dish, and then they scrutinize it under the microscope. They isolate everything and they put it into boxes and they study to the detail and they start naming everything and counting everything. And then they come up with the solution. But that doesn't make any sense because whatever happened, whatever they froze in time, the picture that they took, whatever it is, it's long gone. It's long gone because everything in this world is interconnected and everything in this world is happening simultaneously. Plus, their samples, they get infected by the products that they are using, just being exposed to the light in the laboratory, the illumination, should I say, and all those chemicals in their hands and whatever, just being exposed, it sabotages the whole thing. So I was like, this is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. That was the impression I got. Then recently, I was listening to more information. It was this doctor, and he had the same ideas as I had, and I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. You have a sense of validation, which is nice. You, oh, I'm not the only one who's crazy." All right, I took some notes from his presentations. This doctor, I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to be associated, or vice versa. I mean, anonymous, it's better. Stay anonymous. So he said something like, everybody pays a different attention to the world. But the nature of this attention is of critical importance. It can mold the world we live in. It's a disposition, a way we use our consciousness. I said to myself, yes, it's a way we use consciousness. It molds the world around us. Yes, it's a predisposition. Depending on who's behind the wheel, right? It will manifest in this world. The current paradigm focuses on details. They focus on counting and measuring. That's me saying. Focusing on resources and the acquisition of resources. Focusing in these. Focusing in these is focusing on manipulation and control. Everything has to be manipulated and controlled. Everything is made of simple, isolated, and static things, in the opinion of the mainstream. They think everything is fixed, predetermined. Everything are fragments. Everything is devoid of context. Everything is devoid of nuance, meaningless and soulless. Everything is abstract, everything is generic, quantifiable, and fungible, mechanical, Everything is bloodless and lifeless. This is how the mainstream thinks. This is not the world, but a representation of the world. A world that is no longer present, but reconstructed after the facts. It's literally two-dimensional, schematic, and theoretical, not a world at all. More like a map or a photograph. Nothing wrong with it, unless you're mistaking it for reality. And I was like, yeah, those are my exact thoughts. And then I wrote, these who get captured by this photograph, these who get captured by this two-dimensional photograph, this two-dimensional reality, are in a fantasy world. You know, they are in fantasy. It no longer that world that they capture. It doesn't exist anymore. But they are captured by it. They fail to see the forest for the trees. This is the traditional quantum buffoonery theory. Now, this doctor then said, how you anchor, in my opinion, how do you anchor everything you just said into the paradigm that we are living nowadays? You see, you have to anchor everything to something that is quantifiable, measurable, something that you can hold in your hands. If you don't anchor to it, the scientific community will discard you. Even though it's hyperlogical, it's in the realm of the intelligible, it's in the realm of reason. But if you don't anchor it to something physical, these people it just goes off their just over their heads. You see, they 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 can't grasp those concepts. For it has to have an anchor into something physical, something that you can hold. So this doctor connects it to the corpus callosum. He said, oh, it's the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is a large bundle of more than 200 million myelinated nerves that connected the two brains hemisphere, allegedly permitting the communication between the right and the left hemisphere. The corpusculum allegedly is getting smaller, and that explains why people are becoming so uh, disconnected, I would say. Then I say to myself, regardless, it's irrelevant if the corpus callosum is getting bigger or smaller, because it all depends on who's behind the wheel. Everybody pays a different attention to the world, a different kind of attention. The nature of this attention is of critical importance because it molds the world around us. Depending on who's behind the wheel, the corpus callosum might get bigger or smaller. It all depends on the consciousness behind it. It's not a Darwinian thing. No, it's a spiritual thing. 100%. It's a spiritual thing. It's like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it will shrink and fade away. It's the same thing with the corpus callosum. That's the same thing with the frontal cortex or the frontal precortex. If you choose not to use it, it shrinks and fades away. It's the same thing with the limbic system. I mean, when they try to analyze psychopaths, they notice they just choose not to use certain parts of the brain. It all depends on the conscious behind the wheel. You know, it's not a mechanical thing. It's not an evolutionary thing. It's not a Darwinian thing. No, it's a spiritual thing. But that I don't think they are ready to accept. They can't accept. Because if they validate the existence of the soul, the whole Aristotelian movement since 500 years ago just goes down the toilet. You know, all of those philosophers from the, I don't know, 18th, 17th, 19th century, all those guys that came after the French Revolution, All their philosophy just goes down the drain. They are just analyzing the psychophysical, they are analyzing feelings, thoughts, emotions. They are never mentioning the soul or any of that sort. They are not analyzing reason or the intelligible. They're just analyzing the superficial. And these scientists are the same. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now. Have a nice day.